Welcome to the review. My name is Kevin.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Tristan.
I'm Remy.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to be talking about chapters 3 through 5 of Kierra Cass The Selection. Oh, beautiful.
What?
Everyone has a different idea of the music
I have
in
no
their
idea
minds,
what it
and it's
sounded
great.
like.
To be honest, I don't remember it either.
That was mine.
To me, it just goes to like a tap number.
Oh, we
was
should
like-
add that in.
Like a 64-bit tap number.
Yeah. That's what I imagine when I think about it.
All right, so let's just start off by talking a little bit more about ourselves, because we really didn't do that last time, and Lauren wasn't even here. So, welcome to the party, Lauren.
Remember to speak out. The mic's in the middle of the room.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll just start by kind of talking about how we came to the series and how we're reading the series. So, my name's Kevin, and I'm rereading the series. This is my third time rereading it, but this time I'm focusing on specifically the social class and power struggle that goes on throughout the 5 books, looking at who has the power, what's giving it to them, and exactly what that power grants them, because there is a lot of power getting handed off back and forth between characters, and I really get lost in that, so I'm going to try to focus down on that. Matthew, how are you reading it?
So I'm a binge reader in the sense of when I'm stressed, I'll just read a ton to ignore whatever real life problems going on. So I read every book, the first 3 books, in a night, and now I'm finally going back and actually reading it, and I realized I missed about half of all the content there. So that's been interesting. And then I'm really looking to set characters because I think they're way more interesting than everything else. But that's just a personal preference.
Well, I am reading this for the first time, and I'm reading it on a illegal PDF. That's how I'm reading it.
So literal.
How are you? But I'm just reading it for fun to see what the hype is about.
Yeah, so I'm reading it for the first time, and however, the book naturally speaks to me, but I'm beginning to worry that it's a mute book.
Oof.
Were you expecting an audiobook?
No, that's just a way of saying it's crummy.
Oh,
Ooh.
We have a divided house.
cannot stand.
So I'm reading the book also for the first time, so mainly for like the plot. But for some reason I keep getting drawn into these like the revolution story, the like little tidbits they're giving me about this big revolution that happened however many years ago, and I'm like clenching onto those. And I hear they're it's coming later in a later book, but that's really what my mind is focusing on for the most part.
Actually, to be honest, that part's like pretty interesting. That's the part I'm most interested in, is the backstory instead of the front story.
The front story.
I will say the backstory is very continuous, and I like that. In a lot of books, it's very choppy. But this one, the hints she drops are very consistent.
I'm Sarah. I'm reading this book for, I think, the 3rd time, maybe 4th time. I love The Bachelor, the TV show, and this book is basically The Bachelor with princesses, so my 2 favorite things. So, yeah.
I'm excited for the Bachelor part.
Yeah.
If this prince doesn't like jump a fence at the end.
I wonder if he's a virgin. They'll probably tell me 30 times.
That's
True. That kind of thing.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Well, Tristan's figured it out. We may as well just wrap it up here.
It's more the prediction than the review.
Yeah. All right, let's just jump in with our synopses.
Okay, so America Singer's mom offers her money for her to go into the selection. She had already decided to go in, so it wasn't a big deal. She applies, she goes to the selection, like the group. There's a lot of people done up. You learn that it's not actually like random. They pick because people are pretty and they want to have a pretty queen. And then after that, she comes home. Her and Aspen have like a little
10
thing,
seconds.
and then they break up. And then she goes back, and then there's a big a whole thing, and then she's selected.
And she's suspiciously happy about being selected.
Dun dun
Yeah.
dun.
That was
I
like
think
right
I
on
did
30.
Yeah,
pretty
that
good.
was
That was
well
really
done.
good.
Good spacing.
I was going through it in my head.
Matthew, you want to go? Or
Accent by me,
This is going to be a train wreck, but I'll be happy to. Basically, she gets into this thing with Aspen. He, like, wanted her to apply, so she wakes up the next morning with her mom, like, hey, I'll bribe you. Definitely takes it, so she can start, like, having money of her own so she can get married with Aspen and be all happy. And then they go to the, like, post office thing, the town center, wherever they're sending this. And there's, like, 1,000 girls all in super big up makeup, or they're, like, really poor, and that's whatever. She breaks up with Aspen. Well, Aspen breaks up with her, and then she gets selected. Aha.
We did miss that Aspen's mom said that he seemed really happy and seemed like he was going to propose to someone.
yes.
That was a big plot point.
We'll get into that.
But that's okay. Because it was 30 seconds. And we did a good job.
That was a lot better than last week. Yeah, a lot better than last
A lot
week.
less screaming.
All right, let's jump into the first topic on our agenda, the application process itself.
Did anyone else get college entrance vibes? Because I did.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, on a college entrance, you don't put your height and weight, but...
I felt more
Wait.
like job interview.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know what people were expecting. Did they really think it was random when
I
it's
know.
I
called
definitely
That's
didn't
why
think it
the
was.
I didn't.
selection?
Yeah.
If it was random, it'd be
The lottery.
Well, no, I feel like the selection is referring to the choice made at the end of the competition.
Then why did they say
But-
they were selected?
I was surprised when they were like, oh, it's a big deal. What? It's not random. I was like, yeah, was it not supposed to be? Like,
Yeah, I was like... You would think she would be smarter once she started filling it out. She's like, oh, I guess it was weird. They wanted to know how many languages I could speak.
To be fair, though, throughout the previous
Explain
chapters,
it a little later too.
yeah, but throughout the previous chapters, the only thing we've been told is that it is a random process. And would you not want a packet for the randomly selected woman who you're supposed to be dating that's kind of like a cheat sheet?
That's true. It is one of those
Like,
things where it's like, they
that's
can
how I took
intro her, be like, she's a 4 from wherever, and she speaks Portuguese and Dutch and English.
So that
she's a
if-
Pisces.
If
then-
and when they're selected, the prince would have that and be like, oh yeah, you were the 4 from Carolina, that
Yeah.
you're the
They
musician.
also do
It's like in
dates.
Shrek.
You're the one that loves long walks on the beach. I remember you, yeah.
They
The
do
one.
things
The
that are
one.
specific to the people, so they have to know like information about them.
Yeah.
So while she's filling out the form, America has some choice words that I didn't know what to think about. Specifically, she said, like, by filling out this form, I'm winning the approval of my family, making Aspen happy, and earning the money to get married, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
At first, it sounded like that was, like, her priority. And that was, like, in order of what she wanted out of life. Those were her priorities. But then I reread it. The wording made it sound like it was a checklist that she was actually going down and, like, marking off, okay, if I do this, then I get the approval of my family, check. I make Aspen happy, check. I'm earning some money, check. It's like a pros and cons list. It took a little bit of the respect I had for America away when I thought of it like that.
She kind of seems apathetic to me about it. Like,
Yeah.
For me, I just saw in like the sense of like her most immediate problems she was addressing, and that made her feel like more secure in whatever was going on. Like, hey, this is good. We're handling it. You know, I'm gonna make Aspen happy. I'm gonna get my family off my back again. Gonna get some money, which I haven't had yet. Start doing my own solo shows.
It was logical.
Yeah, it was logical.
Instead of the emotion that we've seen in the last couple chapters.
where she's like giddy and can't speak, or
Mhm.
da da da.
But why wouldn't her choice to do the selection be logical? She doesn't want to do it.
Well, because this...
So that's how she's justifying doing it.
Yeah, but the timing that this came is very peculiar then, because it's as soon as she was given money that this came. She had already decided to do the selection, and she had been sleeping on that decision. But then she just decided to get money, and then these thoughts came to her.
I think it's one of those things that it was in the moment, or I think there were things that had been on, I like the checklist idea, that had been on her checklist for a while. So maybe it was something where she was like, she already knew she was going to be doing the selection, that's fine, she's making Aspen happy, that's a check. She's doing the selection. But also now that she's making money, she was like, oh, now I can check off these other things that were on my shoulders. The fact that I can't get married to Aspen, and the fact that my parents are on me.
No, it is a little weird that she's kind of logical at this point, because she obviously was not logical earlier in the book, where she was just kind of, I don't wanna.
I mean, she kind of like seemed to me, at least in the beginning, like almost entitled. She was like, I won't put my name in because she knew she'd get selected. Like, that's instead of just being like, yeah, the odds are 1 in a million. I'll do it to get my mom off my back. It's whatever. And like that just it's like when we buy like a scratch off lottery ticket. We don't expect to win, but just to get the ticket. For her, she was like, no. And like there was a line in the sand for her because she was like, it was like I felt like she almost expected to get it.
Wait, I thought it made a specific note of her discovering that it wasn't random.
Well, yeah, but
yeah,
like,
but she was like, if I enter my name and I get it, then everything's gonna be horrible.
yeah.
Instead of being like, if I enter and I get it, I get free food and a bunch of money for my family.
And then I
So
can
she's logical now, which that is an interesting turn.
Mm-hmm. And even if this is logic now, my biggest issue that I have with this is that her main priority in the previous chapters was to get married. It now no longer is. That is the third in a list of 3. Now that she has money, there almost seems like there is a reluctance in that speech that in that dialogue, almost a reluctance to get married or a reluctance to actually become a 6, now that she has the freedom to earn her own money as a 5.
she's no longer truly dependent.
Yes.
Here's a question that I had. Say she was to marry Aspen. Is she no longer allowed to sing?
She would drop down to
So-
a 6's job, class, and their type of work.
So she would not sing.
So like indoor servitude labor kind of thing. So yeah, she'd be taking a pretty major income hit and just like skill set. Hey, it just
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
apply anymore.
interesting because that's kind of her passion. Like she actually she does mention she's good at singing. She thinks she's good at singing. So it's one of those things where she also has to lose that.
Yeah, my biggest thing, if she seems at all inconsistent, she's 16.
That's true.
She doesn't know what's happening. I think you're allowed to feel different emotions at different times.
Yes, but at the same time, as much as that the biology, hormones, and age play a big part in that, in this society where people are expected to grow up fast and to get a job by 10 or 11, there's a certain level of maturity that's almost expected of someone of her age.
Yeah, that's very sexist of you, Lauren. Are you saying all young girls are emotionally unstable?
Well,
SMH my head.
America just strikes me as the biggest romantic, and I think that's foiled against Aspen a lot because Aspen has a very clear mind of like his cast and his job, and that we'll get into that later with the whole breakup bit and like who's a provider and who isn't. But like America didn't really seem, at least that I've seen these first 5 chapters, to have really any sense of that. Like she knew it in an academic sense, but wouldn't actually like apply it to like daily life as far as like what it actually needs to be a 5 going down to a 6 when, you know, her sister married up and became a 4 and all these other things. She just kind of is like, I like Aspen. I love Aspen. Aspen's what I want. Versus like, she's like, things will change, but she never actually gets into how they will change and how she needs to be ready and prepped and all these other things. So I don't know. She just strikes me as like really, like a very emotionally driven person, and there just seemed to be like this kind of huge lack of like logic in a lot of what she's done up until this checklist bit where she's like, wow, look at all the things I achieved with signing my name.
It's almost kind of like she feels like she can fix everything that she thinks is wrong with the people that are around her.
With the power of friendship and love.
Yeah, so she's like, oh, my parents are happy now. They're great. I can make Aspen happy because I did the thing. I can, like, fix them so that then he can be with me. She's, like, trying to bring him up when in reality she's going to have to go down to his level because he doesn't have an option.
I also feel like just given the cultural like setting, the little that we've seen, there'd be a huge stigma against her afterwards for basically throwing away her privilege to go down. I feel like she wouldn't really be accepted by the 5s or the 6s anymore. Because it's like, you're not really one of us. Like, you didn't know what you were getting into, da-da-da. Versus, like, the 5s who are like, oh, you think, like, you're so good that you can just go down there. Like, you're all above us because you can just throw it all away.
Yeah, the 6s are going to think she's entitled because of how she grew up. And then the 5s are going to...
Kind of just disown her because they
Yeah.
feel like she rejected the best they could do.
I don't know. I think that's kind of playing down the divides between the casts a little bit, because the way the cast has been described is that there's a definite strong divide between 4s and 5s and 6s, or Yeah, 4s and 5s, and 6s and 7s. So 5s and 6s are kind of grouped in that, not at the bottom, but very close to it, yet they have each other's backs.
Yeah. They live right next to each other.
Yes.
And they've been friends, like they're family friends.
So I think that's playing down a little bit of the relationship between those two low castes. I feel like the divide, that would happen if someone was going from a 6 to a 7. Just because
Or
that
a
divide
4
is a
to
little
a 5.
bigger. Correct, yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Because then it would be 5s and 6s are together, the 3s and 4s are probably pretty close, and then the 2s are probably kind of on their own, and then it's the 1s.
Mm-hmm.
That are just... Going to a different part of when she's filling out the application, back to what I said about the history, because I picked up on this, of course. She says, I was pleased to write I could speak 3 languages, most could speak at least 2, but my mother insisted we learn French and Spanish since those languages were still used in parts of the country. So this makes me think that when this sort of world revolution happened, whatever went on, that the US kind of engulfed Canada and also Mexico.
Good.
Or that they're in all like one big conglomerate country, because Canada, obviously, most of Canada speaks French, and then Mexico speaks Spanish. So
Whether or not those nation lines extended, there's definitely a cultural extension.
yeah, or there's been more like immigration,
Fluidity.
whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of fluidness, and obviously, like it's not normal for people now to know more than one language. So she says most people know at least 2.
But that's what got me, though, because she was like, I'm special because, I know 3 languages. Like, I'm proud to write that down. But then in, like, the line before, she said, just about everyone speaks at least 2. So it was like, well, by putting at least 2 instead of at most 2, I feel like it just undermined her own accomplishment. I was like, that one I don't think is, like, on an America thing, but more of a Kierra Cass, where it was like, everyone generally speaks at least 2, but I can speak 3, which is special.
But
it's like,
also at least 2.
yeah, that you have not changed anything. At least that's how I saw it. So I was like, come on, Kierra, like you can do it. You got this.
Yeah, I think she did that to add in a French and Spanish to like flavor in part of what happened in the revolution. But obviously I haven't gotten there yet, so I don't really know. That's just my theory, is that they've kind of all been melded together in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
At least culturally.
Yeah, culturally, if not by land mass.
Well, it's not like the landmass is separated.
We missed that.
Maybe we don't. We
I
don't
don't know what happened.
Fair.
Okay.
You ever heard of Pangea?
I've had a question about how far does this selection extend? Is this a countrywide thing? Is this just one state doing its own thing?
It's the whole
Okay.
nation.
The
I was
nation
just
of
kinda confused,
Aaliyah.
So the nation of Aaliyah is encompassing what we know of as the country of the United States. Within that nation, there are 35 provinces. And each province puts forth a candidate for the selection. So it is a nationwide
Lottery.
lottery.
But throughout all of Carolina, she was the one to get.
Okay.
She did mention she wanted to put on her khaki shorts and her green shirt, and said she felt kind of pretty, because I think she was excited about getting money to marry Aspen, but kind of morphed itself into her. It's the first time we've ever heard her say anything really positive about herself
Mm-hmm.
or about her looks.
I was
But
like,
even-
I think some of that, it's not even just positive. It's really the first time you see her talk about herself at all. Because, like, especially in the first 2 chapters, there was bare bones, like, we were trying to scrape for what her name was. And now she's like, I'm looking all right today, like, in a good mood. And so I think that's that 16-year-old coming out of her a little bit. Where it was just a little, like, from one day to the other, like, she didn't think about herself at all. And now she's like, I want to look nice for the sake of looking nice.
But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, because you have the book out, but I believe that was given almost as like a backhanded compliment to herself. Either the line before, she said something like, I typically don't look good, but today I felt like I looked good. Because while I read that, I still read it as if, oh, yep, she still does not have that confidence.
She was talking a lot about what her options to wear were. Mostly beige, brown, and green, with a few nicer dresses for when she would like go out and perform. And that the upper caste sometimes wore khaki and denim, but it was more as a fashion choice and not as like a necessity.
Appropriating
she said-
culture.
Sure. And then she said she put on her khaki shorts, the most exciting day clothes I owned, and looked at myself before going into the living room. I felt kind of pretty today.
I think that's what it was, is when she's wearing the most exciting clothes, like day clothes that she has, and when she puts on the most amount of makeup that she feels comfortable doing when she's not working, she feels kind of pretty.
Yeah, she did say kind of pretty today. But still, that's a step away
Step up from where we were.
I'm not pretty at all.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, you're gorgeous.
I love the world building. You know, it's really a dystopia when someone thinks that khakis are the best thing. Like, they feel really pretty wearing khakis.
Wearing khaki shorts.
Yeah.
I feel pretty in khakis, but
I like to think they're like cargo khakis too.
So many pockets. She
Yes.
keeps her pockets in.
Moving forward a little bit to the actual application in the post office itself, or the province, city hall, wherever that was.
I'm going to call it the post office.
That's kind of what
Oh
I
wait, before we
described it
get
as.
there, I want to make a quick note. She asked her dad what would happen if she married a 6 or a 7. And it was like kind of a
Yes.
cute conversation. Because he was saying, if you... It was cute but real. Because it reminded me of like... If you've seen The Bachelor, I'm talking to Sarah mostly. When Colton goes to talk to Cassie's dad, and he was like, you guys just really haven't had enough time. I do not give you my blessing to marry. It was like, that's real. He actually cares. That's the feeling I was getting. Because he said that if America really loves an 8, she can marry an 8, but that the stress of life can make most marriages kind of dissolve. And so you have to think about that, like, that love may not be there if he can't feed your kids. Which was also kind of foreshadowing for what was.
Do you think he was also making a small commentary on his own marriage? Because he and his wife have not seemed to be on the same wavelength at any given point. And so, like, the dude is silent, speaks rarely. For some reason, America's favorite parent. While the mom is, like, as in-your-face as it get. And he's like, the first thing he says, like, marry for love, yeah, that's great, and I want you to be happy. But just know that times change and life gets hard.
Yeah.
And when you're faced with all this and then supporting your children, it's a very different game. I don't know. To me, I was like, he's definitely like
Yeah,
dealing
that's
with his
how I
own
read
marital
it.
issues.
because America also says something about her not being able to remember the last time her mom was that affectionate to her dad.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, her mom also was affectionate to her dad.
So yeah, they're happy.
It seems more like it's just a
stress.
tough time rather
Yeah.
than they don't
I mean,
like
saying,
each other anymore.
like, that her mom's hair has, like, gotten white in the last few years, like,
Mhm.
it just seems like it's a hard time for everyone.
I think it's just a hard life. A hard knock life.
They definitely
For
sigh
them.
when they get out of chairs.
For them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For them.
When they sit into chairs, they sigh.
Yeah,
Just a big.
it's
It's
tough, man.
just a constant oof.
Especially when you're poor like that, and then your couches and your chairs, they start to sag, and you can't get anything else to replace them. You just sink right in.
The real tragedy.
Okay, we can move on to the post.
Yeah.
Actually, jumping off that, I don't know how I picked up on this. I was impressed with myself here. Just toot my own horn, right? Toot my own horn. But
That was really good.
Good mouth trumpet.
Well
We
done.
applaud the mouths. Can that be her like?
We stand.
We stand the mouth trumpets.
I noticed that every male character that we've seen today has shown reluctance in everything they've done. They have not shown really any positive attitude toward anything. And it's only the females who are actually bringing positive energy to the plot. Aspen doesn't want to marry America because he's going to bring her down. As much as he loves her, he's hesitant. He doesn't want to do that. Jared doesn't want to learn art. He just wants to
Be a kid.
play ball, be a kid.
Well,
He
I
reminds
wasn't
me...
reading his name is Garrett.
Oh.
Wait, what's his
Oh,
name?
I'm
Jared.
an idiot.
Because you gotta have that fun,
Wait, let me see.
quirky, young adult fiction spelling names.
I think it's
Definitely think I was reading as like Gerard or
Gerard.
Gerard.
Well, there we go. There it is.
I like
Gerard.
Gerard the most.
He reminds me of the brother in Divergent, though. who has like the science books tucked away.
Mm.
Like that's who he reminds me of, and he
yeah.
has this general reluctance for the life that he was born in.
Wait, quick question. If it's Jared, then is it Javril or Gavril?
I pronounce it Gavril.
Okay.
I called him Gavel the entire time. Like a courtroom gavel.
Oh god. But then even America's dad.
Does he have a name? Like a real one?
Dad.
Right.
Poppy.
I
So-
don't think he does have a name.
I
that
don't
we've
think
heard
so,
of.
not yet.
Alright.
Do we know her mom's name?
Ye-
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
doesn't Aspen's mom.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
calls her out.
Magda.
Ugh.
I
Magda.
love all of
I mean-
these names.
In a
Don't they
world
call
where-
her
so
Maggie
good.
most of the time,
In
though?
a
Maggie?
world where the main character's name is
I thought-
America,
I know.
I have expected
had
her-
to stop.
I have expected her siblings to be, Asia and Africa.
Those are continents.
Well, I mean,
That's
North
the most
America,
American thing
South
he could have
America.
said.
Okay, but this ain't Kanye West over here. This is
What?
America as a nation.
No, that's the United States of America.
That's a country.
Oh wow.
Cat meow.
You know I'm right.
Be careful,
I'm
she's
looking
being
up-
angry because
I'm
there's
looking up
always
nation
spots all
versus
over her.
country.
There's a part of me that like
She's been
really
pulling out
wanted
her
there
hair
to be
again.
some kind of like greater allegory at some
So she's
point to
just
be like America, like reflecting like America the country. in some
Did you
way.
listen to the last podcast?
I listened to
I
half of it.
pulled a lot of symbolism about the name
Oh,
America.
great. I haven't in the book so far, so I was like, I feel
Really?
like that might have been a little too much to hope for.
Well, a quick synopsis that I
Great.
found. She's, first of all, okay, I'll mention this because it's in this chapter. She says she loves the national anthem. I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
I went, haha, that's dumb. But,
Nerd.
nerd. But she was reluctant to go into this big monarchical society, and she wanted to fight against it and do her own thing and marry a guy even though she's not supposed to marry him. And she's obviously supposed to be a princess and go be with the prince, and she was like kind of going against that whole system, as America did against the monarchy.
Okay.
The quick and dirty.
Yeah.
I think it gets a little bit more into that allegory as we get into the selection process.
If you're
But I
waiting,
guess we'll see if you can catch it.
like, if you're waiting for symbolism, it's coming.
Okay. Because I was just like, man, with a name like America, like you went for it. Like that is as heavy-handed as you can get.
That's
so
strong.
Wait, what did we
I'm waiting
decide?
for
The
some-
mom's name was Magna?
Magda.
Magda was like, this one's going to be a protagonist. We are giving her a...
Yes.
If her brother's name is Jared, and like, we've got May, Coda, Kenna, we're breaking the scheme, America. This
America. That's
Mer-
her nickname.
America.
Mer. I think, is it Mer?
They
Or-
call her Ames at one
Call her
point.
Ames
Ames.
and Mare.
Mer.
Ames and Mayor, yeah.
Ames America.
Good.
Oh.
Like America singer. I'll make her a singer. That'll be great.
Kierra Cass with her giant, she's like doing a giant, like, whole wall equation, and it gets to the end, and she's like, America singer, drops the singer, drops her expo marker, leaves the room.
Circles it one time.
The whole thing's in black, she circles it in red.
Give me that Pulitzer.
And the Nobel Peace Prize goes to...
I will say that Kierra Cass sticks to the rigidity of the actual monarchy and the politics of the time, even in the small details, like in the line at the application office. Whenever she picks out random people and like points out, describes the random passerbyers, even in the order of the line, they are ordered in casts highest to lowest.
Are they?
The ledgers are behind the singers, and then whenever they talk about the sevens, they're looking behind the ledgers and the sevens in their workday clothes. And they said, even ahead of us, there's a woman with cleavage that a whole city could drown in.
Yeah,
That must
trying
be
to
a two.
drown the world in cleavage.
So the twos are ahead of the fives, which are ahead of the sixes, which are ahead of the sevens. So even in something as simple as that line, she still has that rigid symbolism of the caste system.
On the subject of
This
that,
makes great audio.
there was a girl in my class today who was wearing a shirt that said the No Bra Club, and we had to go up and give presentations, and it was just kind of strange.
Was she wearing a bra?
Well,
Is she a
couldn't tell,
hypocrite?
so-
I feel like that would be a very ironic t-shirt, but in the opposite direction that most ironic t-shirts go.
Fair.
Anywho,
That was fun.
Getting away from t-shirts about bras.
anything else we need or want to talk about before we move on?
Are we moving on to like them being in line? I feel like we've kind of covered that.
Yeah,
There wasn't a whole lot to say.
Yeah, they're in.
they're in line.
The fact that it should not have been a surprise that this is not random.
Yeah, Aspen's mother mentions that Aspen seems really happy and he might be talking to a girl,
Saving
for
money.
a ring.
Yeah, and so America
exciting.
just like fangirls for the entirety of the line until she gets
Yeah.
to the front.
And she gets to the front, takes a picture, and she's still smiling because she's thinking about Aspen.
And yeah.
And then scene, curtain, bows,
Yeah.
applause, standing ovation, encore.
Second.
To which
Second
we get to
ovation.
the Aaliyah Capitol Report, which is the first we hear of this
Yes.
big thing.
Finally get to see the monarchs. Only took 5 chapters? 4 chapters?
4 chapters. It's not too bad, actually.
Now what I found fun about this is that the people who have all the power in the country don't say anything. The king has 2 sentences of dialogue where he's talking about a war. So we know now that Ilya is currently in an active war.
New Asia, right?
New Asia is who they're
New
fighting
Asia.
with.
I
yes.
think America commented like they wouldn't survive another invasion. Like
Mhm.
they're too young. They're a young country.
Also-
So it was very important to be like on the offensive.
Yeah, unfortunately, we were a young country that had to protect itself against everyone.
It also mentions like World War IV or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't been touched since the Fourth World
And people
War.
are still wearing khakis, so
It really
It's a
shows.
durable
It's
material.
an enduring part of our culture.
What else are you going to keep your magazines in without your pockets and pockets
How
on
are
your
you going to hold
khakis?
all of your belongings when you're moving away from your war zone? You have to move out. It's a war zone.
God,
How are you
those
going to
cargo
pack all your
pants.
things? Shove them
Knapsacks
into your
just
cargo
don't do.
pants. They don't.
Drawstring bags? Kiss those goodbye. Gone in the explosions.
They were targeted first.
We must take down their carrying capabilities. Target the knapsacks.
If you've ever played a video game where carrying capacity matters, you know that is the most important thing you could ever have in a
Your
character.
backpack.
Is your backpack and how much stuff you can just carry
Why don't
at
you
all
just Put them
times.
all in your cargo pants.
Oh, sir, oh god, they have cargo pants. This plan is over.
What
We
could
do
be in
not
all
have-
the pockets?
We do not have enough cargo pants to survive the next invasion. With massive production.
What's in your go bag? Number 1, cargo pants.
Switched
Number
it in
2,
them.
cargo
Switched it in
pants in
them.
the cargo pants.
Small and cargo pants.
Pockets in pockets on pockets.
Pockets on pockets.
Pockets useless if you just fill them with more pockets. That doesn't make sense.
No, the space compounds. You get more.
Wow, it's
More
like the
per pocket.
TARDIS. You think the TARDIS is just filled with cargo pants?
Actually, the TARDIS is a cargo pants.
Singular cargo pants.
I'm calling any
Cargo pants,
room
like-
a cargo pant from now on.
I think any buildings are cargo pant, and then every room's its own
Oh,
pocket.
this is like
Yeah.
a classic, like everything a sandwich argument.
Yes.
Everything's a cargo pant.
No.
Oh,
If
I
you've seen
watched-
if you've seen the new Lucid Chart ad, a hot dog is not a sandwich; it's a taco. It
It
has
is a
starch
taco.
on 3 sides,
That makes
That's
sense,
terrible.
actually.
right?
Sub sandwiches are also tacos.
I like to think that sandwiches are a spectrum, personally.
A spectrum?
Yeah.
It's fluid.
It's fluid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no binary.
Oh, we are also not sponsored by Lucid Chart. Just a note.
Every time we'll just casually drop something that they can sponsor us.
Squarespace.
Audible.com.
Dollar
Casper
Shave
You could
Club.
read the selection.
Blue Apron.
Probably.
Oh, it's not the best thing for Dollar Shave Club.
No, you have to share.
Oh God. It was on iFunny. It was Gillette has an ad that like publicly shames men for
Oh yeah.
watching porn or something, but then Dollar Shave Club has an ad on Pornhub that's like it talks about like Dollar Shave Club for so many dollars, yada yada yada. But this is also just a link in case someone walks in on you. And so if you click it, it just takes you to Dollar Shave Club site.
What a
Fucking-
bro.
yeah, looking out
And
for
then
the
you're
bros
just
out there.
jacking off to Dollar Shave.
And you just get a really weird association. So, like when they deliver your Dollar Shave, you just get a massive boner.
What a marketing scheme.
What's new?
Man, that is some thought policing. Dollar Shave playing the longest game.
The longest yard.
Dollar Shave's Club Boner.
Their boner collection.
The Magnum.
Oh, they've
Shave.
come out with condoms now. Oh, it's so important.
Do we have anything else that we want to talk about?
In the whole book?
No, the report. We can
the
move
report.
on.
I don't-
Not getting into something.
I don't like gavel.
Yeah.
I really just
Gavel?
don't like
Gavel.
it.
Okay. Big discernment here. Remy reads Gavril as if he is Chris Harrison.
I do.
I
Chris
read
Harrison.
him. I read him as if he is the announcer from Hunger Games.
That's how I see him. I was like, it's a
Yeah.
carbon copy. I just see him with the blue hair and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris
I think-
Harrison's too
Perfect.
resolved.
Oh.
I feel like Gavril's too bubbly.
Yeah.
Well, Chris Harrison can be kind of spicy.
He can be
You
kind of
saw it a
spicy,
little bit.
but that's just off camera when he's wearing his quarter zip and a cardigan.
And he's like, where the fuck is Colton?
Get the van.
We gotta run
He
it.
jumped the
We
fucking
gotta run it.
fence. I also love how he said like it's the middle of the night, but it was like 9:30.
It's like 11. Yeah, it was like 11.
My favorite part of that whole scene
Is
is
he
when they
still a
whistled for
virgin?
him like a horse. They
What?
whistled. I can't.
There was like, there's a
they
dog
like
barking
whistled
over
and they're
there.
like, Colton, like I can't whistle.
What's your
Like,
whistle?
Here, boy.
No, one more time. One more.
That's it.
She went, whoop.
Like an owl.
Someone whistle for me.
Instead of whistling, you just scream.
Colton! Ah! Colton!
Oh God, that would have made it so much better.
Here, boy. Here, boy.
I mean, we all,
Dog.
I really hope
Like
Maxon
Colton's
does
like,
this.
oh
with-
shit, where's
He's
my
like, my owner.
My owner!
Chris, I'm so sorry that I missed you.
I got
He goes
lost.
running back on all fours.
I saw a squirrel.
Okay, Gavril.
Okay, Gavril though.
Yeah.
Well, I think that he's very much like the Hunger Games announcer, but that might just be because I'm reading this whole thing as a very strong Hunger Games
Maybe he's
correlation.
maybe he's like a cross between that guy from Hunger Games and like Ryan Seacrest.
Like their secret love child.
Yeah, he's like not quite as terrible as the Hunger Games guy.
Yeah, 'cause the
but,
Hunger
like,
Games guy
the
was
whole
like
thing's like not quite as
overly-
sinister.
Yeah.
So like you can't be.
Okay.
as
Hunger Games
scary.
guy meets Chris Harrison
It's like-
meets Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah.
Snackish, peckish games, not the Hunger Games.
The Peckish Games.
The peckish game.
Because when you're not fully hungry, you're peckish.
No. That sounds like Josh Peck's Netflix series, The Peckish Games. That's what that is. We gotta copyright that now.
How are we gonna copyright Josh Peck's name?
Josh Peck, if you're listening,
I'm sorry,
Josh
your name's
Peck,
right
DM me
there.
right now.
I hate to tell you,
The
but you
peckish.
are being forced to star in your own TV show.
Woo.
So this is the review of The Peckish Game.
Peckish Games.
The Grumbly Game.
Chapters.
The crumbly.
We will now look at all the different snacks.
snacks.
There are 35 new snacks.
He just catapulted me back to 2008. Like,
Okay, do we want to talk about how sex is illegal, or can we just move on?
when
Where
was
is that?
It's when they're in the
In the
treehouse
bed?
or
No,
whatever.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
not in the bed.
Bed.
Okay.
I
That's
thought
where
it was
they're
like-
at. They
Ilya-
want to have sex and they
Yeah,
can't.
Ilya
because it's
report
illegal.
happens. End of chapter 4. She goes to bed and Aspen's out her window like a creep. The creep he fucking is.
It really
It's
is.
not a creep when they've been dating for 2 years.
Even the people who love this book roast it. So
It's roastable.
It is roastable, yet we go back and read it again.
that's fair.
And here we are.
It's like reality television.
Or like Tristan.
I just.
That's fair.
Oh man. This
Oh!
We'd be thrown in, there'd be evidence, we'd be thrown in jail. There was evidence.
Ooh.
Evidence.
They bring a black light in.
Well, okay, that's just the thing.
We
They'd,
must reach every teenager's room.
Blood, semen, or urine.
they'd have to be like
I hope
outed
it's-
by their own
Hope it's
family.
urine.
Like we know that it doesn't seem like the government cares enough
Do you
to
think
actually
her mom
check.
would do that? I don't think her dad would, obviously.
I don't think her mom would either. Her mom would be like, "We're fixing this right now, and we're
Yeah.
kicking him out. You're never gonna see him again. But we're gonna get this
Yeah.
under the rug." Like, I don't know. Also, like, strict parents make sneaky kids. I don't believe that they haven't been banging. Like, I know it mechanically they haven't, but like,
In your mind.
in my mind, like, it's very clear.
Well, in my mind, she's also like 20.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why
true.
it seems like she's so immature, because she's actually 16.
We're just
But-
bringing her up to like near our
Okay.
age.
But there was actually like
But
plans to
she's,
make
like,
it a
talking about
movie,
marriage and stuff like that.
and they were all gonna be like 20.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's how it works when you can't have
Prince
sex.
Maxim was also supposed to be like a man whore.
Because she said waiting is torture, so that's why they want to get married so young.
And that's why you tell your kids that they should have sex young, because then they won't be like,
Because
I want to
waiting's
get
not
married
torture.
at 16. So
Wow.
they'll be like, I'm
Some
gonna get
reverse
married.
psychology.
The
from
realist
Sarah.
parent
Oh,
out
here it is.
here.
This was the sentence I was looking for earlier. The cover my mouth, effectively silencing my gasps. Like, Jesus.
Okay,
God.
taken out of context, that was just like serial killer. Like,
It was a stolen moment. Yeah, he's murdering her. That's what I'm guessing.
Aspen is Ted Bundy.
I can get behind that.
I mean, I feel like
Zodiac
their
killer
descriptions
came
are
from
actually kind of similar.
Yeah. Yeah.
That changes how I see him a lot, actually. Wow.
And so I
That's been
obeyed.
really
I
Bundy.
know, like everything.
Okay,
about that
when
scene was
when
so
she's
bad.
writing those chapters or like those portions, reminds me of 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Like just the first one.
Remy hasn't read 50 Shades of Grey.
Neither
Okay,
has
take those and extend them into a whole book.
Headphone
It
users
just gets
beware.
like more and more in 50 Shades of Grey, but
If
this is
anyone
just
hears,
like
there'll be hell to pay. Aspen.
They're covered in sweat.
well, I think we've covered the sex being illegal thing.
I love how we haven't touched on the whole breakup bit yet.
Well, we're getting to it.
It's
That's the nice
not- it
thing.
hasn't
Breakup.
happened yet.
Sorry, we
Well,
haven't
it
had
has
the
happened.
terrible
It
sex
happens
first.
after they try to have sex.
They're terrible. They're terrible. Not
That
that.
was-
Spoiler!
What?
But we spoil
They have
everything.
You
What
got-
was
They have worse sex.
They have sex later? Oh, we spoil
And
it in the
like,
beginning
that
when we
was
do
like-
our 30
no, I
second
know, it was a
synopsis.
joke. It was a
called-
joke.
If you're
we
reading
hadn't
along
I
the
got
chapters
it.
while we're talking,
That's okay,
you've made
none
a
of us can
mistake.
tell.
It's
Yeah,
called
I get it.
Candy.
Perfect golden candy.
Candy.
So the breakup.
Yeah.
Anything on that?
I'm on
that's-
Aspen's side for this one.
I understand where he's coming from.
No, I'm on
I
his
don't
side.
think I'm on his side.
I think he took it a little too far. Like, yeah, she made him a really nice dinner. Doesn't mean you gotta dump her for it. Like, it was
I
one
think it
time.
Was, yeah, I think it was a culmination of a lot of things, but I don't think it required him being like, we're over.
It makes the him being so happy earlier, or at least I'm talking about him being so happy, suspicious. at
Exactly.
It is suspicious. Maybe he's met someone else. And he's using
best. Someone
a
more
sex-
stable, hopefully.
More stable than America? You take that back, good sir.
Excuse me, I don't know what you're talking about with America, because a nation is not the same as a country. A nation is a group of people with a similar
Okay, that's
culture.
enough. We're done.
I just looked it up.
Regardless.
I just feel like
Also, if he knew she was getting more money, does he really need to feel that bad that she cooked him some stuff? Which
I
guess
think no, but he's upset because it's now her money. Whereas when she did bring him food, it was her leftovers that her parents made that she was kind of like sneaking away. But this was she finally is free, making her own money.
Well, she actually did make those dinners. I wonder if he knew. I wonder if
I don't
he
think
knows
so.
that she was making the dinners, because she's been making him food forever. And he's like, oh, it's your leftovers. So obviously her trick of eating a bite and then having an entire plate of food.
I don't think it was ever like
Oh.
a full plate, but like, yeah.
Oh, it's food your little siblings could have had to grow into strong young men and women. I'll eat it. Oh, it's food you bought just for me. No, thank you.
Artists don't need to be strong. They need to be creative. Ever heard of the starving artist?
You ever heard of
That's
a
how you
sculptor? Sculptors with their massive manly hands.
What I want to know, right, in the caste system, would they be like allowed to be writers as well? Is that one of the art forms that they can like pursue, like poetry?
I believe that's with teachers.
Is writing really an art, or is it more of a craft?
Okay, you take that back.
Nothing bad. The crafts
No.
are just fine as well. But is it art or is it a craft?
Writing is an art. But yeah, no, I'm on Aspen's side with this. At least given what we know about him, he's been basically the sole provider for his entire household for like the last 3 years, and everything that he's expecting. Like, if he has it really in his head that America's going to be his wife, he's like, I'm going to have to be the provider for her as well. And here, right out of the gate, he can't. Like, she's the one providing for him, hand over fist, and that like flies in the face of his whole masculinity thing. And he just can't cope. Like, I get where
named after a tree. He needs to be stable and he needs to provide. Trees provide fruits sometimes.
Yeah.
So
My girl Kierra, right in there with the.
she's in there with the name symbolism.
Yep.
With the symbolgy.
Symbolically.
Can I say that again?
Symbolgy.
one more time phonetically.
Symbolically.
Perfect.
Yeah, I feel like this whole thing is just like, well, this is very convenient. Right before she gets selected, that she doesn't have this emotional attachment anymore.
It's just, I mean, she still does, but it's like, I think, I don't know.
I was expecting more from it. Like
I
a
was
break. I was expecting more, but then
Yeah,
it
he
just
just
kind
kinda
of went
left.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I expected there to be a little bit more of her being upset, but there was just like a page.
Yeah.
It's like a paragraph.
Yeah.
For that one, like, with America, as like we've kind of come to know her, this like last chapter notwithstanding, I really expected her just to like follow him down, be like, you're not leaving.
Yeah, like yelling.
This is 2 years. She had already mentioned that, like, yeah, we're being too loud, but she just didn't care. She was getting emotional. But then, like, as soon as she's gone, she was like, I couldn't even, like, shout his name because of the laws. Be like, well, don't shout his name, but follow him down. Like, force him into this conversation. That's the America that I was starting to expect after the first few chapters.
Yeah, it's weird because there's almost 3 pages of them fighting, and then she says, I started crying. So he had said he was going to break up with her for like 3 pages worth of conversation, and then she was like, like, I don't know. It was weird.
Just like that too.
It was a weird dynamic. I think Kierra didn't want us to be super attached to this relationship. I don't know.
I mean, this is still the introduction of the book. She hasn't even been selected yet.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
Cass is trying to push it along, which I think is why it's not as enjoyable because this isn't what the book's supposed to be about. We haven't even gotten into the meat of the series yet.
Yeah, it really makes it just kind of seem like a throwaway.
It's like exposition. So it's like, oh wow, we've had this relationship for a long time. And then it happens to end.
Well, anything else on the paragraph of breaking up? Tristan now gargoyling. You broke a chair last time.
After you broke it.
Fair point.
You look like an eagle ready to take flight.
He's about to pounce on this breakup topic. Let's get your best take. Wow.
All right.
Well said.
The second Ilya report that we see 2 weeks later.
Gavel.
Javil.
Gavigil.
Gabrielle.
Javril. So we actually get to see the influence of the monarchy a little bit. How even AIDS, the kind of homeless population, finds churches, finds community centers to actually watch the report every Friday.
It says it's like pseudo required, right?
Yeah, there's this unspoken. What is it called?
Rule?
No, no, it's like
That's the rest
like
of the phrase.
voting is a
Civic duty.
yeah.
No?
There's
'Cause it
I'm
is.
looking for another
You
word.
should
It's just
vote.
gone. No, it is, but it's like it's a responsibility that's not necessary but
Expected.
expected.
Being
I
voluntold.
feel like it starts with an I.
Involuntarily told.
What?
I'm making up words now.
Irrigation. I don't know.
There it is.
That's what you're
I
trying
don't know what I'm
to
talking
do.
about. I don't know.
Iguana.
A little rewind. I don't know. It's
You
gone now.
described it well enough that I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
Civic duty's good enough.
This was also less climactic than I thought it was going to be. They kind of came, they're like, Gavril's here. I love that they call him the Master of Events. That's a great name.
kept.
So close to saying ceremonies, but she had to switch it up to give it that little flavor.
Yeah, some flavoring.
Way to go, Kierra.
And then they were pretty much like, we're gonna announce your dudes, and then they started announcing the dudes, and then that was it.
Dudettes.
When did Maxon speak?
Maxon spoke
At the first?
at the chapter 3. The first early report, chapter 4, I guess.
Yeah.
The way she writes him seems like he's like a prisoner. It's like he looks over
Oh, yeah.
for
For approval.
and
After the interview.
Yeah.
it's like their real son died and they've enslaved this boy to fill his
Like
place.
a poor boy.
No, yeah, he's definitely this kind of. He doesn't seem independent. He seems very much like he's stuck.
How old is he? Is he supposed to be 18?
He's 18.
Okay.
I got insecure vibes off of him.
Yes.
Both times reading it through.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it's gonna go with like the dates and him meeting people when he seems so freaking awkward.
Do you think he chews with his mouth open?
You think he's
Oh.
a virgin?
Yeah.
You think we're gonna hear about it 40
Yeah.
times?
Probably not. But maybe.
No, please. Keep walking past the mic.
I am so stealthy.
No, yeah, America's selected, and it wasn't very climactic.
And she was excited.
I feel like that's a good. She was the third one. Her family was excited. Then the phone started ringing.
And it
Did
never
it?
And
stopped.
That was it. We didn't even.
Stopped for days.
We
For
didn't even get
days.
to see Maxon's reaction to her.
Oh, we didn't.
No.
That's what I wanted.
I'm
I wanted
assu-
him to be like, oh, she's hot.
I'm assuming that'll be important because it made a
Eh.
point of saying, okay, never mind. I'm gonna go die.
Oh yeah. I mean, we'll get it in the next couple chapters when they actually get to the castle. Again, it wasn't that big. Did anyone get anything from it?
I was honestly like the most surprising part of all this was that there was popcorn to be spilled. Because that struck me as a luxury I just didn't attribute them having.
So, I thought of that too, but then I remembered that.
You're like, I was like you, but then I got better.
No, yeah. They spilled all this popcorn in their fives. They shouldn't be doing that. But then I remembered America's getting paid now. Like
I mean-
she's
he
now.
means having popcorn. Like,
Well, yeah, but they have. Cass went out of her way to say that the Capitol Report is an event every
Yeah,
week.
it's like a
something that
special
the
occasion.
nation comes together for. And while they might not have popcorn every night, I imagine they'll have ice cream once a month. They'll have popcorn once a month.
I gotta say, I see the report personally as like the equivalent of like C-SPAN, where it's like, this is how the war is going.
I was thinking of it as more of like the State of the Union.
But like
Kind of
weekly, I was just like, that's not something like I sit down and get my popcorn. Like I guess they're really just starved for real entertainment
Well,
as entertainers.
if your
but
State of the Union had the Bachelor contestants on it, maybe you would.
once every like 40 generations or every generation, but still.
Yeah, that's an exciting event. It's like the Olympics. You know, like when the Olympics play, it's on in every house the whole time.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you're watching...
Even the luge.
Yeah, you're like watching sports
Especially
you didn't even
the
know you
luge.
cared about. There's like curling happening, and you're like, wow!
We have it on the TV, on a tablet, on a computer. We don't even watch sports in my house, and the Olympics is on like 20 screens.
Yeah, people care about the Olympics. I think it's probably something like that.
Yeah.
A similar kind of thing.
Well, all that popcorn went to waste.
It did. But they'll have tons. They'll have an endless supply of popcorn.
You never eaten floor corn? I've eaten. Floor
I'm not
corn.
an animal.
I've definitely eaten floor corn.
That's what I call wasteful. You privileged too.
You're right.
You're such a tube.
Yeah,
You're
this,
such a cargo pant.
this
That
world
is a compliment.
this world brings a whole new meaning to the. Are you from Tennessee? Because you're only 10. I see.
And then
I
you're
was
like, how
waiting to
dare
make
you?
that joke. I would say Aspen might be a 6, but to her, he's a 10. There's gotta be, like, the whole thing that is The Bachelor, like, there's gotta be a
There
joke
has to
about
be.
that. Like, am I gonna be disappointed?
You're gonna be graciously disappointed.
Yeah, it's right there.
I
Joke's
think
right
Lauren's
there.
already there. Oof.
I feel like Lauren wrote this actually.
Yeah.
Lauren is Kierra Cass.
We never learned her real pseudonym.
2K19.
Cascade.
With that,
Anything else? Any other questions?
Yeah, we hit the end of chapter 5.
Yeah, chapter 5. We will jump into next couple chapters in the next couple weeks. We'll see what's going on. But
maybe with more frequency, once we get in a rhythm.
I think it'll be more enjoyable when we can actually read at a decent pace. Yeah. I know literally everyone here can sit down and read a book in a day. And I apologize. I cannot.
I finished reading these chapters probably about 2 minutes and 37 seconds before we started.
I'm not even sure about that. He just lets the mic run sometimes.
I read everything in a half hour.
Weak.
I told
Let's
you
start
it
from
didn't
chapter
take
1.
long.
Oh, never
Yeah,
mind.
I
Lauren
had
is
to-
Strong.
a person.
Aw, thanks.
I came awfully close to complimenting Lauren there.
I had to back up. Whoa!
Thanks for listening.
Oh,
We
God.
appreciate it.
Join us next week on
The review.
no,
The review.
What is it? The underqualified and over-opinion, or is it the other way around?
It's underqualified.
The
Underqualified and over-opinionated
Review.
Ta-da.
We'll get a hold of this eventually, right?
We'll do it. We'll get it.
I'm hoping.
Welcome to the review experience.
I feel like we just gotta get
We
right
need a
No.
soundboard to make noises with.
Can we get a sound?
Can we add Tristan's mouth trumpet to the soundboard?
Just anything. I want a horn. Like maybe the. Like, I want an
What's the soundboard of the guy going?
Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, that one.
We like booze and clap.
Yes. It's like people in education classes when they're like, yes, they're snapping.
I just want the Kahoot music just playing subtly in the background of everything.
Or the me. Bum, ba, da, da,
Da, da, da, da.
da, 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 bum,
Are you ever going to turn this off? Can you please turn it off?
No, this is our new musical intro.
Dun, dun, dun.